Yeah, so Jupiter-Mars opposition. This is an interesting one because Mars is that inner drive, and it really controls that. And inner drive can be so many different things, but Mars is really such a vital planet, and it's malefic. One's relationship with Mars, where it is in the chart, everything can tell you so much. Like I have, I guess I shouldn't be telling such specifics. Anyways, so someone with a Mars-Jupiter opposition, it's interesting because sort of the higher drive, the dharmic, sort of the Jupiter can be like, okay, so first of all, Jupiter is like guru. Jupiter is teacher. Jupiter is that higher sense, that the higher desires, and it can also just be positivity as well. Like there's a I mean, it doesn't exactly, that's not significance entirely, but that's one thing that will activate Jupiter a lot, is just having a positive viewpoint of things. It also I have been seeing how Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, can be a little bit what's the word? It can almost be like exploitative. It's a little bit like, I've seen this with Mercury, but I've just recently realized that Jupiter's a little bit the same, and it's a little bit why I've had some issues with Jupiter, maybe even a little bit of distaste for Jupiter in the past. It's like, Jupiter is a little bit gatekeeping. Jupiter is about choosing the winners. Jupiter is the kingmaker. Jupiter is about, it's about examination to some extent. It's about, basically tests, practically underhanded tests, but sometimes that's, kind of beneficial or, cosmic in a way. Like when you die and you go through the maze of Bardo and you come to such and such a door to some, better reality or to some hidden knowledge or something, and there's some angels, and you come close to the angels, and one of the angels extends its hand, and you don't know what to do. You don't know if you're supposed to give the angel something or what. And so, you try and give the angels various things on your person. You try and just shake its hand or and just are frantically trying to do different things because you can tell there's something interesting behind this door. It's worth guarding. Is it the door to heaven? What is this? And if you don't know the secret handshake, you can't. The angels aren't going to let you in. You're bounced. That's kind of what Jupiter is. And I'm not quoting anything in particular there. I'm kind of telling a story. I know that Bardo has a lot to do with like knowing the paths and knowing what you're seeing in the maze of Bardo, like after you die or even in your dreams. And I know that I'm talking about like Freemasonic handshakes that you're supposed to be doing with angels or something. So I'm guessing it's related. So I'm a little bit conflating Tibetan Buddhism with sort of this Freemasonic thing. I'm not sure if that works, but perhaps it does. Anyways, so Jupiter's like that. Jupiter is a more exclusive type of dharma, type of religiosity, spirituality. It's a little more on the end of law, but it's more like law making than law enforcing. But in a way, law making, I think, is maybe a little more powerful. than law enforcing. Or it's not exactly that, it's different roles. It's a really complex thing. But so that's kind of the deal with Jupiter. So Jupiter and Mars being at odds, being opposing, a lot of oppositions aren't that hard to sort of harmonize, but Jupiter and Mars opposition is especially difficult because Mars and Jupiter aren't really very similar consciousnesses to begin with. And the best way to solve an opposition is to make your actions kind of appease both, kind of feed both planets. So like in this case, you have an inner impulse to do X, and you have, but sort of your maybe your spirit guides are guiding you towards some other thing, or it might not be your spirit guides. It might be more like intuition. So it's like you have something pulling you from within to do some other thing. And so it may even be that this position is often a punishment, or through this opposition you can see a punishment from previous lives of like you followed your lower urges a lot, and now you need to basically there's a fight going on between your lower and higher urges. So in this way you can see how astrology isn't exactly X always means Y, but sometimes it's more painting a picture of one's destiny and sort of karmic burdens and whatnot. So there's a lot to it. I would say there's a science to astrology for sure, but sometimes it's more art than science, or rather that there's so much science to it. Sometimes it takes the art to navigate the science, the art mind to navigate the scientific, the mind of symbols to navigate the rules, the expanse of that what materially is. I've been toying with this idea that mathematics is in a way an art, because it is a symbology, but it's a lot more, 2 + 2 is never going to equal 5. So I've been playing with that idea, just very small tangent. Yeah, so yeah, one of the reasons this is so hard though is because I think between Jupiter and Mars, the two planets are going to really they're just going to create a battle royale in the consciousness. It's going to be nasty, basically. And it's Jupiter is like reputation. So when someone's going to feel that Martian pull, that those lower urges, and typically it's going to hurt the reputation if they let into that. So remedies might be a good choice with this. Like maybe a person that has this will serve Jupiter, do Jupiter, follow their Jupiterian path, but wear red a lot. I suppose there's other things you could do with it. It would depend on the situation. Like the sign, the house, even like the nakshatra. There could be a lot of variables that could kind of be used to soften it. That's the thing, is that if you don't look at your astrology, the astrology tends to react the same, like more the same, if you don't know how it works and you don't know all these nuances. But if you do know the nuances, in a lot of ways just knowing the nuances, you can just think of it differently. and that can actually change the manifestation of these things in your life. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing I've noticed in my life. Also, it's kind of nice to know that the reality is a little more like malleable, and you can just. I think also like astrology, mythology, a lot of these things, through the story you can sort of change your consciousness, and you know the mythology has this very, very strong power over the manifestation of the planets, of these other things. I don't think mythology comes from nowhere. I think it comes, you know, from real changes, etherically or whatever. But at some point in magic, you can change your own etheric nature, your own astral nature, very easily. That being said, you know, a difficult opposition, still a difficult opposition, but I think probably this opposition is found in people who, like, you know, they're the holy roller at church or whatever, but then you find out that they've been like, you know, they're like fucking their secretary or something, and then everyone's like, you know, gasp. You did something unsavory type thing. So yeah, can happen like that. Yeah, I think with this, if you can just manage to, you know, be honest with yourself about, like, a person like this, if they can manage to be honest with themselves about, you know, sort of what their lower urges are, and not try and glaze over them, and with their Jupiter, and their Jupiter kind of, you know, almost is trying to, like, convince in sort of Jupiterian mode, they will want to try and convince themselves that they actually want things that realistically they don't want. So, you know, being honest with themselves about what they do want, you know, in their Martian self and their lower urges, and seeing where the Venn diagram of lower urge and higher urge meet, that's a good process, and it takes some introspection, hence the difficulty here.